What it do, what it do, what it do. I know I got a conference call in a little bit, so I might have to do a part two. But let me get started. CBR comes out with this ridiculous notion of the Justice League versus the X-Men. I've been reading. I hate when people do this, especially when they're giving people who don't read comics some information they don't even understand because they don't know the continuity. They don't even know the characters. Let me let me get it back right. Let me get this out there. And the reason why I said it's nowhere close, there's almost no conceivable way the X Men can win. None. None. I'm even gonna do a geek debate about the Avengers versus Justice League. We could just do the Magnificent Seven, okay? The Magnificent Seven of the Justice League. You could send one member of the Justice League for a whole week, 7 days for that whole week, and they would give the Avengers problems. Okay? 7 days, a whole week. Let's take it back. There, my Padawan and his little brother try to say, well, the Avengers, oh, kryptonite, kryptonite. I hate it when people try to use the kryptonite argument with Superman. Do you know how rare it is to have kryptonite? Kryptonite is about as rare as you could get plutonium or uranium in the real world. How many people can get their hands on that shit? Not a lot of people. Unless you're Bruce Wayne or Lex Luthor rich, you ain't really getting your hands on that shit. So, and then you're talking about the if the fight occurs in the Marvel universe, you're dead. First and foremost, John Jones had linked all the fucking minds of Earth together. Jean Grey gets a slight headache, okay, when she does multiple people. John is out her league. Wonder Woman by herself with a spear, a sword, and a shield is wrecking shop. Even against Wolverine, she's fucking him up. Oh, we forgot about Green Lantern. Who the fuck do you have on the X-Men team that's fucking with Green Lantern? Jean Grey is cool, but Jean Grey's too fucking unstable. Martian Manhunter is way too powerful of a fucking telepath, even for Jean Grey. And don't count on the Phoenix because that's not her base set of powers. Because if we're going that far, we might as well have fucking Superman soak in the sun for a week and then really fucking annihilate them. So stop it. Stop it. Stop it with the Phoenix shit because that's not her base set. So stop it. So even with the Phoenix, it's been shown the Phoenix could get fucked up too. And comics prove it. I mean, let's look at this. Professor X, you got John Jones and Miss Marvel to really handle that. I'll even try to stick as close to the Magnificent Seven as I can. You got literally, they're not that gritty. First and foremost, what dark side level villain do they really fuck with? And I'm sorry, Apocalypse is not dark side level. Sorry, he's not. I'm betting against the X Men on this shit. I am putting all the chips down. X Men are getting their asses handed to them. Even if you got reality warpers, you still got people who can actually. You got to think to do it. You got at least 2 to 3 people on the Magnificent Seven who can move, maybe 4, who can move faster than thought. Then You got a much more battle hardened tactical genius of Batman compared to whatever fucking Cyclops could think of. Batman did that shit decades ago. It's gonna be a sweep. You have nobody on that team who can deal with the raw power of combined might of Martian Manhunter, fucking Wonder Woman, Superman, Aquaman. Oh God, Aquaman gets into the fight. They're not even getting to game six, dude. They're not even getting to game six. Okay, let's stop that, people. Stop that. They're not getting even to game six. If they get to game five, Justice League is being merciful. Let me put it to you how badly this is. Well, we can't talk about the original X-Men because the original X-Men would get washed by the original Justice League. And remember, the original Justice League, Superman wasn't a member. You still had Martian Manhunter. What was it? Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman. Even if you call Quicksilver, you have nobody. Flash is way faster. I love CBR with their bullshit, and they trying to say, well, the X-Men is a tie for technology with the X-Men. Yo, the Justice League have Atlantean, Amazonian, Kryptonian, Earth, Apocalyptian, New Genesis, Thanagarian. I can, like Owen from Oa, basically Green Lantern tech. There is no tech that the fucking X-Men ever seen that can equal that. Tech alone. Tech alone, they win. Tech alone, they win. See, Jean Grey is really easy to beat. If you always notice, even in Phoenix form, she always gets killed. And I'm not even being DC biased, but I'm gonna really tell you this one, right? And I've read these comics equally, love both teams equally. To me, the height of the even if we go by the '92 X-Men with the late '90s Justice League, there's no way in hell they're winning. There's no way in hell. If we go by the height of the X-Men when they were at their most popular, which was '92 X-Men, which is Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Gambit, Rogue, Jubilee, Beast. There is there. It's I love both. Don't get me wrong. There is nobody that's dealing with that type of raw power. That is just smash mouth comic book raw power they're dealing with. Yeah, you got your and people will say, well, can't can't they take over Superman's brain? They already did that. It's called Manchester Black. He's just as powerful as Jean Grey or Professor X. No, no. If Manchester Black would have done it, he would have done it. You're talking about a guy, Superman himself, who went against the Joker, as insane as he was, with Mr. Middlepix power and won. That much willpower. Batman. I don't need to say much about his willpower. They could try to say, well, Magneto. What is Magneto going to do? And if you really want to say, and then people are like, well, Wonder Woman wouldn't be able to touch him. That's if her fucking, that's if her gauntlets, the bracelets of submission, and her weapons are even made of magnetic metal. If they're not, he's getting fucked. He's getting seriously fucked. But then again, That's what you got Green Lantern for. There is no conceivable way I can say the Justice League is winning. Aquaman. Say what you want about Aquaman, but if we just go on by the late 90s, early 2000s Aquaman, when that motherfucker was towing cruise liners on his back, fuck no. Yeah, Poison Ivy had to do that with Kryptonite and a couple of shit, and still Superman was holding back. That's how powerful his willpower was. He was holding back. And Batman didn't do anything to stop him. He kind of stopped himself. Because Batman even tried to punch him with a kryptonite glove, and he even said, if I punch him again, I'm going to break every bone in my hand. You're talking about ruthless. I got the largest army on the planet. Aquaman towing cruise liners on my back. I am probably like the fourth strongest member of the Justice League. I can hold my own with Wonder Woman. I'm not even sure if I should bring Shazam in it or Captain Marvel. Fuck that, just Shazam. We don't recognize Carol Danvers. That's Miss Marvel. Fuck that bitch. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, right? How many X-Men can survive in space? Because if the battle happens on the Watchtower, they're fucked. Okay? They're fucked. And I mean, not even in a good way, they're fucked. Wolverine is going to have a hard time dealing with even Wonder Woman. Because Wonder Woman is much stronger, much faster, just as blood savage thirsty as she wants to be. He's got to get past her sword, her spear, her shield, her gauntlets, her strength. The lasso is going to be what's the deciding factor. He's not going to be able to cut through the lasso. She can probably strangle him and break every bone in his body. Or just wrap him up and throw him into space. Yes, Wolverine can die. Or she can wrap him up with the lasso and say, Aquaman, catch. And he drowned his ass. Which is Wolverine, if you actually read the comics. That's his greatest fear, is of drowning. And by the way, he weighs 300 pounds, and majority of that weight is his fucking adamantium bones. Oh, you got Cyclops? Oh, what's Cyclops going to do? Oh, okay, let me give you this scenario. All right. And I love the Avengers. I think the best Avenger team ever is gonna have the triple threat. For example, this is how much I love the Avengers. You can't have the Avengers without the big three. Not an Avengers team that's worth reading. It's very rare. It's very rare that you're gonna have a really good book, with the exception of Mighty Avengers. It's very rare that you're gonna have a good book without the top three, which is Captain America, Iron Man, Thor. Fourth Avenger I would get is She-Hulk. Fifth Avenger is Hawkeye. Maybe Scarlet Witch. Maybe Wonder Man. Maybe. But I'm going to tell you, motherfuckers would have had a better, and this is how much I read comics, both Marvel and DC. You would have had a better argument if you would have said the Mighty Avengers. When you're having Iron Man, Black Widow. Oh, that's who I would put on that other team too. Iron Man, Black Widow, Ares, God of War, The Sentry, Wonder Man, Captain Marvel. Like, you would have had a better go around with that than to bring me some pitiful X-Men who get their asses handed to them by goddamn Sentinels. Don't give me that kryptonite shit because how many times do people have kryptonite? It's rare. Unless you're a multi-billionaire, you can't even get your hands on it. Even if you take the Avengers when they had the Sentry, um, like I don't understand. You can have your reality warpers, but here's the point about reality warping: you gotta be fast enough to warp reality. What can the X-Men do that the Justice League haven't seen, sir? And trust me, they have no reality warpers that are worse than Mr. Mistleplick. So, and God forbid if I'm allowed to put Captain Shazam, Captain Marvel, fucking Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, it's over. I'm not even including Batman because he's like your personal ninja. He's already gonna have tech that you can't even read his mind. If you get the tech that he can't read his mind, oh, that's fucked. What you gonna get, Colossus versus Superman? You're funny. You're funny. I'm gonna give you proof why the Justice League will run the pockets of the X-Men. We shall open up the World War Hulk versus X-Men. What luck did the entire X-Men, remember, they brought out the X-Men, they brought out Excalibur, X Factor, X Force, and Hulk was wearing asses out by himself. They even brought Juggernaut. And come on now. He was such a threat. The Hulk by himself was such a threat. Darwin, who has the ability to counteract any damage to him, said his mutant power said the Hulk is at such a powerful level that the only way to deal with him is to be somewhere else. If Superman just said fuck all the mutants and just wage war, what can they do? What can they do? What you've seen it when fucking Colossus tried to go up against World War Hulk and he bent his arm backwards. This is the reason why a lot of people, especially these young cats coming new in the comics, need to read up on their shit. You telling me Superman can kill Doomsday and he can't handle the X-Men? You put the X-Men up against Doomsday, he's killing them. He's killing them. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you how bad it is. We'll even go just by the villains. If you put Apocalypse against the Justice League would laugh at him. The Justice League would laugh at him. The Justice League would laugh at him. You put Darkseid against the X-Men, they're fucked. They're fucked. And not in a good way. I mean, I want to see. I want to see somebody give me a very good argument of how the X-Men are winning. I can't conceive it, and I'm giving them buffs. People are gonna say, well, if they got the numbers, I don't mean shit. I don't mean shit at all. What happens when you're dealing with a bunch of second graders? I'm sorry. I love you, beastly nerd. But what would happen if the dark side went against the X-Men? You know they're fucked. You know they are fucked. Any version of any version of Dark Side. The motherfucker, he would walk to fucking to Xavier Manor, a school of extraordinary children, with his arms behind him, knock on the door. First motherfucker answers the door, gets fucking Omega beamed in the face. And he'll just step back in the yard and be like, come and get me. For all you motherfuckers, you think Thanos was fucked. He'd do worse to what people would do without. He would do worse than Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet to the X-Men. He would just brutalize them. And I'm not talking about the female Furies, his army. I'm talking about by his goddamn self. You put the fucking Apocalypse against the X-Men, they would laugh at him. I am Apocalypse. No, you are beat the fuck up. Really, really. Let's go even harder than that, right? How do you think the X-Men will fare against the Legion of Doom? What the fuck do you? What could the fucking X-Men do against the Legion of Doom? I'm waiting for somebody to chat. What would they do against the Legion of Doom? You could put all the Omega level motherfuckers you want. They ain't taking it. You got beings with too much speed and too much raw power. It's like I tell people all the time, even in wrestling, boxing, and MMA, you can be technically sufficient, but what happens when you're going against somebody just as technical as you with raw power and speed? Raw power. We'll even just, oh yeah, we'll even throw in Storm. You got Storm. All you gotta do is make her claustrophobic. She's fucked. We'll even give you Magneto. And people like to say, we'll give Jean Grey with the Phoenix. Okay. If you're gonna do Jean Grey with the Phoenix, okay. We're gonna do Superman Sun Soak for a whole fucking week. And we're gonna do Wonder Woman when she takes the gauntlets off. She's fucked. There's notice, and I love the X-Men like everybody else. But they are such a bad matchup. I love them, but they don't have anybody that can take that type of raw power. Guys like Darwin who can evolve to any type of threat, he's not even going to be there because as soon as he tries to go up a Superman, as soon as he sees him, like let me ask you, Beastly, and I'm gonna ask Genius Vel, okay? What would happen if Wonder Woman just get bloodlusted just with her sword and shield or battle axe by herself? How much damage would she do? Take this in consideration. And I had this conversation with one of my boys who owned a comic book shop for years. Because we're gonna do a part two because I gotta do a conference call soon. We're doing a part two as soon as that conference call is off. What's gonna happen? I'll even put it to you this way. How much damage would Wonder Woman do against the Avengers by herself? Flash against the Avengers by himself. Batman against the Avengers by himself. Aquaman against the Avengers by himself. Martian Manhunter by himself. Rogue doesn't even have the fucking fighting ability. See, here's the thing about it. She could throw that lasso like a whip and snap her fucking neck. Superman on the last day by himself against the Avengers. You're talking about by herself. Rogue is nowhere near as strong as Wonder Woman. And then I don't even think she has the absorbing power anymore, so she's dead. No, I'm not doing the link yet. I'm doing part two after my conference call. After the conference call, I'll do a link. I'll speak some more about it, and then I'll do a link. Uh, there's Beasley said the only one would last long enough against a bloodlusted Wonder Woman is Berserker Wolverine. She would be a problem against the X-Men. I'm just trying to tell you, I love the X-Men. I love Marvel and DC equally and for different reasons. Okay? Okay, let's get that out. I don't have DC bias. I don't have Marvel bias. I am a comic book fan. If it's good to me, I'll read it, I'll buy it, I'll savor it. Hell, I'll even get it autographed. I have many of them. Okay? Here's the fact of the matter. And we came to this conclusion. You put each, we're just going by the Magnificent Seven, which is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter. Each one. What the fuck could they do against Martian Manhunter by himself? Hey, what's up? And by the way, tell everybody to look out for part two because that's when we're gonna go down and gritty with the geek shit. You can't tell me this shit, and I went on my black geeks on this one because I gotta when I looked at that CBR report and they tried to say, well, the tech is equal. Do you know how many aliens are on the Justice League or how many aliens they're affiliated with? The Justice League? Thanagarian tech, Kryptonian tech, Wayne tech, Amazonian tech, Atlantean tech, New Genesian tech, Apocalyptian tech, Owen the Guardians of the Guardians tech. You got literally on one of the current rosters of the Justice League a motherfucker named Cyborg who can. There's you take Cyborg by himself against the X-Men. He is fucking them up. Cyborg by his goddamn self. There, you got to understand something. Go back and read Superman Red Sun and how fast he was to take the ring off of fucking Green Lantern's hand. You're talking about a guy nearly as fast as the Flash and a motherfucker who can move a planet by hand. You ain't got nobody on the X-Men that can handle that. And then on the same team, you got 2 to 3 of the second runner-ups, the most physically powerful. You ain't got nobody handling that. Oh yeah, by the way, God forbid you bring in motherfuckers like the Atom. You bring in people like the I've read that bullshit. It's hard to read X-Men currently. It sucks. It really, really, really does suck. And I'm gonna tell you why, because they got the X-Men away from their roots. In one saying, X-Men are too versatile. They don't always know how to use their powers in the most effective manner. Not at first. They never use their fucking powers in the most effective manner. People can say, yeah, Wolverine he has the healing factor. His healing factor can be overran. His claws ain't scratching. His claws ain't even itching to scratch off a fucking Superman. So, in Martian Manhunter, I mean, I don't even know. What can somebody tell me what Martian Manhunter powers are to make sure we know? I'll tell you. He's damn near as strong as Superman. He's got the telepathic and telekinetic abilities that are even beyond Charles Xavier. He's a shapeshifter and he's intangible. Let me put it to you this way, right? It's hard. I'm not even, and notice I'm giving you a valid argument when they try to say the tech was even. The tech is not even. You have different planets, different galaxies of technology that the fucking X-Men have access to. Wayne Tech is better than any fucking thing the X-Men ever came up with by itself. By its fucking self. We're not even throwing in Atlantean or Amazonian technology. Cerebro. What offensive capabilities does Cerebro have? Martian Manhunter can do everything Charles can do with Cerebro and more. It's a done. The X-Men would have how could Charles Xavier enter somebody's minds who actually he can't defeat he can't defeat Martian Manhunter. Then on top of that, if he uses mental powers, do you think the Flash and Superman and Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter can move faster than he thinks? Come on now. Let's look at this. They can you need somebody living to recreate. They have to use the 5 mutants to recreate that shit. You kill one, the process is done. Forge can build technology, but he can't build alien technology on the level and capability. It would take him centuries. I'll even buff him a bit. It would take him decades to even reach rudimentary Thanagarian, Apocalyptian, New Genesian, Amazonian, Atlantean technology. They built fucking shit that you can breathe underwater like an Atlantean and have conversations. I'm just gonna do this because yes, today's Friday. Fuck the gynocracy. We're gonna have a old fashioned blurred talk. All right, I'm about to get out of here. We're gonna do part two. Tell all your blurred friends that we're gonna have a good old fashioned geek